Hello, this is Bill Moran of the Bill and Kelly Show, and with us today we have our guest, Gary Germann, who is Porter County's prosecutor-elect. And I want to welcome you to the show, Gary, and first of all, congratulations on your victory.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Bill. Thank you.
So, before we get up and go into the details about what your goals are and what the prosecutor's office actually does, because quite a few people don't know exactly what the prosecutor's office is involved in. So why don't you tell us something about yourself personally, where you come from, where you were born, raised, and where you went to school?
Sure. I'm originally from Evansville, where I grew up, went to high school. The first person in my entire family to go to college. I went to Purdue. I graduated from Purdue in 1970, and then I came north of Valparaiso for law school and graduated from Valparaiso University School of Law in 1973. Then after passing the bar, I got my first job in the Porter County Prosecutor's Office. I was hired, and about 6 months later, I became the chief deputy. 1975, there was a change in the office when Bob Harper became the prosecuting attorney, and he kept me as his chief deputy. And then in 1978, I became the prosecuting attorney, was elected, and then I served until 1982. Since then, I've basically been in private practice for the last however many number of years.
So you've had both experience in the prosecutor's office and in private practice.
That's correct. Yes.
So what is your view of the current status of the court system and, most importantly, the prosecutor's office that you're about to take over?
Yeah, first I would say that we're really blessed with the fact that we have really good judges. Just every one of them is just really top-notch, and that's important because I want people to feel like they've had a judge who will listen to them, will decide the case fairly, and then everyone can kind of live with the outcome. The prosecutor's office, I think we can make some improvements just here and there. We'll pick up the pace a little bit in some areas, and I think really focus on how we treat nonviolent offenders.
Yeah, and we were going to get into that a little bit later, and some of the special mechanisms in the court system that are there to actually help. Being a defense attorney, where you spent most of your career, what are some of the issues that you ran into representing your clients in the existing system?
Sometimes I thought I struggled a little bit with the discovery, making sure I had all the information that should have been available to me, that would have been provided to me by the prosecuting attorney's office. I also, I have represented every now and then some innocent clients, and that's the worst case for a defense lawyer is to think, oh my gosh, I'm representing somebody that did not commit a crime. And so I struggle with trying to convince some of the lawyers that they were prosecuting someone who actually didn't commit the crime. But other than that, it was I'm okay with generally how I was treated. I'm happy with that.
So obviously you feel that there's some improvements to be made, and or you wouldn't be doing this, but we'll get into those later.
Yeah, there are, and I think too just the speed at which we do them. I think it's just important to make decisions, act on them, and conclude the case. I know for me, and I would think the prosecutor as well, and for sure the client's finality has a great deal of value.
So, as having experience as a defense attorney and being actually on the ground defending your clients, what do you see are the leading problems in Porter County?
Obviously the drug problem, heroin epidemic, opioid, those issues. I think violence in general, and domestic violence in particular. This is just something that, if you ask me what I've seen change over the last 30 years, that's one of the things, just the increase in violence. I mean, just for example, 30 years ago, I didn't know what road rage was. So whatever we can do to just ask people to be just a little kinder, think before acting, and to just reduce the violence.
And so it's a lack of control of emotions. Yes. and rage.
Impulse issues, contributing factors, alcohol and drugs. I mean, they
I was
all kind of
about-
tie together, but yes.
I was about to say, do you find a correlation between the two when the clients that you represented, at least?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And I asked them that question. Do you think that your conduct would have occurred in the way that it did if you had not been drinking or if you had not been doing some type of a drug?
Right, so let's take all these problems that you've witnessed over the years and tell us about how you would engage these problems by whether changes you would make, relationships that you would set up that you feel are not strong right now. Talk about the issues and also what you, as the new elected prosecutor, will do to help combat those.
Yeah, I think we can divide the cases into the violent offenders. So I think we need to be really tough on them. And that's a safety issue. That's a safety issue for everyone who lives there. When I'm campaigning, I just met an amazing number of just really nice people. And I think we owe them our best in that regard. So violent offenders, yeah, we need to deal with them pretty strictly. Nonviolent offenders, on the other hand, I think we need to do what we can to help restore them and redeem them, return them to their families as healthy, so they can work and live, and so that we don't have another case in 2 or 3 years because we didn't take the steps that we needed to help them when we had a chance. And there are plenty of alternative sentencings that are available to us through our community corrections program, through our probation office, and just the experience that I've had in dealing with the different treatment options, so that we can actually help them. And that's kind of the goal.
Right. And let's talk about the number one problem. And I think it's really can't emphasize enough the substance abuse problem. And we all know that Porter County, even with its current population, is leading the Tri-County area in drug overdose deaths, if not the state. And can you kind of zoom in on that, the substance abuse problem, and talk about what you would do as the elected prosecutor to make sure that people got the right help that was needed?
Yeah, so I think the first thing is to really go after the head of the problem, and that's the real serious drug dealers. And I'm not counting the kids that pool their money and they throw in $50 a piece, and somebody drives to Chicago and brings back enough for everybody. That's not the people that I'm talking about as dealing drugs. Yes, that's a delivery, but that's not what I'm talking about. It's the real serious drug dealers, the people who don't use drugs and who are making the money. So I think we need to go after them. Beyond that, I think we're kind of reactive to the people who are addicts and how we deal with them. And sometimes the best one of the detox places we have is the Porter County Jail. I know there are times when I had a client who was using heroin. I would tell his parents, don't bond him out right now. There's only 2 roads, death or more trouble. And then after that, then we can find treatment options that are available to him or her. But I'm including alcohol in that. I mean, I see so many lives that have been ruined by just alcohol, drinking too much, and then driving, hurting somebody, or the violence, as we talked about before.
And one of the, I guess if you look at this logically, one of the important things that the prosecutor is a part of their job is a relationship that they have with law enforcement, the local agencies, and as well as the sheriff's department. So can you give your bird's eye view in your past career as a defense attorney? What has that relationship looked like with the existing prosecuting attorney? And then also if you can just give us an idea what you would do to either strengthen or support that existing relationship.
Yeah, I'm not sure I can tell you exactly what the relationship is with the current office. I just know that I'm the lawyer that I like to get out and meet the people. I like to hear from them. Hey, what can we do better? Communication is an issue. I've already started to meet with some of the police chiefs, some of the detective bureaus, patrol captains, just to get feedback on what we can do better. Clearly, one of the areas is just communication, letting them know what's going on in their case. I think, too, again, we're kind of lucky that There are 8 police chiefs that we have that I know pretty well, and I think they do a great job, as best I can tell. The officers are college educated, they're well trained, they do a good job. I like them to be able to look at a case from a lawyer standpoint, and then when I'm talking with them, I get to hear what their view is as a police officer. So I get to understand them, and then they get to understand me, and then we'll be better. And that's the strength of a prosecutor's office, is filing good cases and knowing what to do with them once they're filed.
Yeah, because the key thing is interrogation and how they proceed, and to make sure, because even as the prosecuting attorney, you have to make sure that perpetrator's rights are protected all the way through, because if not, and as we've seen, and it leads into my next question, we've talked to so many people who've read the newspapers, and now we're looking at cases that are where they're either having to be set free, or it's gone all the way down to the Indiana Supreme Court because during either the interrogation or somewhere in managing the case, the suspect's rights were violated. And so that creates a whole mess in of itself. So how can you, as the new elected prosecutor, help the law enforcement agencies out with that process?
Yes, I think what I've said to the detectives is I want to get a call on all major cases, so that if I'm not there on the scene, which I actually like to do, and it doesn't matter what time of the day or night it is, I like to be there. Just to share in that investigation with them. It's a very fluctuating, quick-moving situation sometimes, so hopefully it helps to have a lawyer there that they have, because I'm kind of their lawyer at that moment in time. They have somebody to bounce their ideas off. Something happens. What should we do? If we make a mistake, at least we've done it together. We've given it our best effort. So I'll be there, or I'll be training the staff to be available as well. I've kind of joked with them, don't call me if you've got 6, 18-year-olds drinking at somebody's house. Don't call me for that. But, murder, serious rape cases, yes, I like to be notified and to be there.
Yes, definitely. And that way you can be sure that everything happens properly.
Right, and so, we can make mistakes together. But at least if we do, we're doing it and taking the action as best we can under the circumstances that then exist.
And going back to relationships with law enforcement officials, and again, I guess to bring back what the prosecutor does and who they are the top law enforcement official in the county.
That's true.
That is their job.
Yes.
And now there's going to be someone just down the road that you've got to work cooperatively with, which is Dave Reynolds, who I've said it on our show repeatedly, and I hear from all over the state. He is one of the best, and we should be so fortunate. And in fact, some of the problems that we've talked about, he has these wonderful programs in the jail. He actually gave me a tour about 2 weeks ago, and I was just amazed, and not only amazed at the programs that he's got within the jail that he's had to set up by necessity. I mean, these people are being incarcerated, and so he set up some very engaging programs. And again, the whole key thing is to make sure that they're rehabilitated. So I guess talk about how you can work with the Sheriff's Department in the quest in making the county safer again.
Yeah, and I totally agree. I mean, I'm familiar with all the things that Sheriff Reynolds is doing and has done. It's really cutting edge, and he's really super proactive, both inside and outside the jail. And I've had some meetings already with him and his staff, and so we're working together to pursue the head of the tail, so to speak, head of that animal, that drug dealer. He's got great programs going in the jail, and the thing is, they kind of relate to him. He can walk through; they all kind of know him. They respect him. Interestingly enough, one of the most important things about restoring someone is how they're treated. If they're treated with respect, they respond affirmatively to that. And he's just one of the best. I think he's one of probably the leading sheriffs, not only just in the state, but in the country.
Yeah, definitely. And the fact that he's had to ride herd over the most difficult problem, that he's doing the best he can with the resources available to him. Yeah, so it's absolutely amazing. But yeah, it was interesting during that tour that he gave me. Is that the relationship he does have with the inmates is just amazing. I remember him walking by and said, "Hey Joe, have you called your wife today? Or how's that going? How's that relationship going? You getting things worked out?" And it's just amazing because there's quite a few people there, and it's amazing that he knows everything, every backstory, which is, it almost felt like I was in Mayberry. It's
Well,
just,
yeah, I mean, I know that he does that. I'm kind of hoping to make a trip through there every now and then
yeah,
with him, because that's going to help me get to know the people. And I just had a great deal of experience in helping evaluate people, who's going to respond and who isn't, and just kind of meeting them, because really they're people.
oh yeah,
They are.
definitely, and that's the sense you get when you go through the jail, is they're treated with respect, even though they may have committed a crime. They, at that point they've admitted, that
And
they're there,
And they could be in a
and
ton of
it's-
trouble.
right, and so it depends how they get treated. So let's talk about the drug task force, because that is some change that happened recently. I think about a year ago, where they moved the drug task force from the prosecutor's office to the sheriff's office. First of all, can you explain what that task force is and what they do?
Yeah, the drug task force is composed of different police officers from different police agencies in Porter County. So we start there. Years ago, you were kind of restricted to what was going on in Porter County, but it's not like that anymore. So when we say drug task force now, we're talking about multi-jurisdictional police officers from Porter County, Stark County, Jasper County, LaPorte County, Lake, DEA, ATF. Everybody has come together to work together, because there's so many things that cross county lines now. It's so important that we get along, work together. So drug task force to me is all of that now, and that includes the prosecutors from Lake County, the U.S. Attorney's Office, U.S. Attorney's Office in Chicago. So it's really expanded, and they're working all of the time, just day and night.
Do you foresee any changes now that you're going to be taking over the prosecutor's office? A possible move back, or do you feel like it's the right place to be at the sheriff's
I feel
department?
like right now it's the right place to be, and that's primarily because of Sheriff Reynolds.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
I mean,
I'm happy with that.
They are police officers, and it's I guess a guy that's knowledgeable about managing police officers, and the task force is made up of both undercover and detectives, right?
Correct.
Undercover.
Yes, it's a
So-
little bit of everything, because they are working together. Once January 1st comes, I'm hoping to be able to go with them, because I want to learn more about what they do. Yeah, so there's all kinds of things that they're doing. I'll be helping them with search warrants for cell phones, just all kinds of things that, I want to be a part of that.
Yeah, and getting back to the drug problem now, there's a couple of courts in Porter County that actually, part of your campaign, you said that you didn't feel that they were being adequately used, and that is the Veterans Court and the Drug Court. Can you explain to us, for those who may not be aware that they even exist, what do those two courts do? What is their purpose?
Yeah, they're called problem-solving courts, and the way that it works is that if you're charged with a crime and you qualify, you meet the qualifications for either Veterans Court or Drug Court, and they're a little different. Your case is resolved by an agreement that calls for you to enter a plea of guilty to an offense or two or three. Your case is removed from the active docket, and then you are admitted into the Drug Court or the Veterans Court. It's a whole treatment program. It's several people come together. It's very individualized, so that your needs are addressed. It may be one mental health issue that's different from another, and the PAC program is becoming much better at individualizing a treatment program for you. It's really rigorous. It's a lot of hard work. But once the person completes the program successfully, They graduate, and then their case is dismissed. So there's no record of a conviction for them, and they've earned, hopefully, the dismissal, and then we've gotten them healthy.
So the difference between the drug court and the veterans court, they pretty much, they're the same, except is there special attention for the veterans?
Yeah, the veterans may have some more specific problems because in all likelihood, I say the greater percentage of those admitted to Veterans Court are suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder as a result of their military service. You don't necessarily find that in the drug court. Those are people who have addiction issues. Now, Veterans Court, it could be a violence issue, it could be an alcohol issue, it could be a drug issue, or some combination of one or more. So they're a little different, but the end result is the same. I've been to Veterans Court graduations, and honestly, it's one of the best things that we do. If you see these men and women who've been restored to the people they were before they went into the military service, it's inspiring.
Yeah, it is. So you're going to make sure as a prosecutor that those are fully utilized.
Right, in the appropriate cases. And the prosecutor, the way the statute's set up, is the gatekeeper. So even if a judge wanted to put someone in Veterans Court, he or she can't unless the prosecuting attorney agrees. So it's up to us to make wise decisions about who's admitted into the Veterans Treatment Court program and who isn't. Just because you're a veteran doesn't necessarily mean you will qualify. But if you do, then it's up to us to say, yes, we agree, and into the treatment program they go.
And someone had mentioned that that this is being soft on crime, but it's not really being soft on crime. It's being smart on crime, making sure people that are incarcerated have resources available to them to become an active member of the community again.
Right. It is being smart because the whole goal is once they're restored, we don't have another case. They don't get arrested again. And that's going to save us in the long run a ton of money. So that's kind of what we're doing. And really, honestly, it could be anyone's husband, daughter, son, spouse, neighbor, anybody. That crosses all socioeconomic boundaries. And these people, they're crying out for help. And hey, if we have a chance to do it, let's do it.
So separating the drug pushers from the users, the drug pushers, the people that, and we talked about this before about another thing that you're thinking about doing is trying to link the drug overdose death to the drug pusher.
Right.
And making it accountable.
There's a whole new statute in Indiana that's called dealing and causing death. So if we can trace a heroin overdose death and trace the drugs that were ingested to a specific drug dealer, that's a separate charge that carries substantial penalties, level 3 up to a level 1 felony, depending on the drug. As far as I know, no one has been using that. So I've already had some contact with the head of the drug task force here. So we've started to figure out exactly what we need to be able to prove a case like that factually. A lot of things can happen between point A and point B, but we're going to figure that out. And then, because I've always wondered, how would we get the drug dealer from Chicago to Porter County? Because the word would spread pretty quickly if we arrested somebody in Chicago and brought him to our jail. I think that's the way.
Yeah, especially with things like fentanyl. You have people putting pure fentanyl out on the streets, and it's not only endangering the user, but the law enforcement officials. They have to take special precautions. In Ohio, they had a police officer that suffered an overdose just from coming in contact with the skin.
Yes, exactly.
And so, but how to hold these things accountable. Is there a statute, for instance, if they do trace the drug back to the drug pusher and it caused danger to the law enforcement official, the police officer? There
isn't anything like that. It's related to an overdose death.
Right.
So just overdose isn't enough. It's an overdose death.
All right. So with that, these are problems that, and I think that's the reason why you're where you're at, because you saw this problem getting out of control, and and someone needed to step up. Now, let's talk about another issue that is kind of still touchy. It's still in the newspaper, but thank goodness you came out of it okay, and it's been pretty much proven the outcome would have been the same either way. But the election, oh my goodness, it was a comedy of errors, and it still is a lot of finger pointing. Give us your impression, because I know you were frustrated. It is being part of your campaign was, yeah, and going out there and campaigning hard and seeing it crumble, literally.
Yeah, I mean, like other candidates, I worked really hard, and so I have my best friends here on Tuesday night. We just came to the house, and I'm thinking, by 9 or 9:30, I'm going to know the result, and then I can go to Plan B. But of course, the result doesn't come until Friday, and I'm in my office. It's 10 o'clock. They tell us the results are coming. Okay, brutal 3 days. Not able to sleep, wondering what's going to happen. Is it ever going to get resolved? What kind of problems are going to be even after the results are announced? It's 10 o'clock. My assistant Sheila has got everything set up. We're going to get the results, and they say, no, not 10, maybe 11. I'm like, that's it. Okay, I can't take it anymore. Packed up my stuff. I'm like, I'm going to the Y. I'm going to go play basketball. I'll be on the basketball court. If you want to call me, fine, that's where I'll be. Because if they say 11, who knows? It could be 1, 2, 3 o'clock. It may not even be today. So I'm going to start living my life again. And of course, I think it was maybe a little before noon when my phone started blowing up. I had 7 missed calls from Sheila. So I kind of knew the result then. But I was on the basketball court, which for me is the best place to be.
And knowing Gary the way I do, most of his friends know him. If he isn't in his office or in court or at the jail, he's on the basketball court.
Yes,
yeah,
that's right. It's almost my second home.
Yeah, and by the way, I do want to mention that you have been very accomplished. You've got just recently you were on a team. What was the team? The U.S. team?
It was in the World Basketball Championships. They're held every 2 years. It's sort of I can play against people my own age as opposed to the 25-year-olds at the Y every day.
So at least people that have a chance, because from what I heard that you don't really give 20-year-olds a chance.
I don't.
You burn them.
No, I don't. I always tell myself,
true.
I'm only
this
23.
Is true story.
I'm only 23. Yeah, so I get a call from a friend of mine in Connecticut. I've been playing nationally on different teams, and he's putting together a team to play in the World Basketball Championships. Asked me to play. I'm just like, sure, love to. So I played with guys my own age from all across the country. Our coaches from Oakland. Just guys from all over, great friends. We went to Italy. We won the gold medal. But as I tell people, the best part of that whole experience was we beat the Russians twice.
Those Ruskies.
Yes, exactly.
Well, congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. No, it was a great time. It was so much fun.
And it's pretty impressive. You go into Gary's office, and he's got the gold medals, and quite accomplished basketball player. So we've got to wrap up the show, but one question that I would like to ask you, because we're right in the midst, we're recording this, we're about to head into the Christmas season, Advent and whatnot. And this has got to be interesting for you because, at least being a defense attorney, you can manage your time to have time with the kids and the grandkids. Being that you're going to have to take this huge task on come January 1st, what does this holiday season mean to you and your family?
It's most certainly it's a change, but it's just a new season is how I look at it. I've had a season of great experiences in my law practice, and personally and with my family, but it's a new season. I couldn't have gotten more support from my children. Just gotten all kinds of great feedback from them. So it was always been important for me to be a good example for them, not just by what I say, but what I do. The season itself for me, it's a season of just being thankful. Thankful for my family, thankful for a new opportunity, a new season. I'm excited about that. As we talked a little bit before, Christmas is a time of, I experience God's faithfulness, just in the birth of Christ, but God's faithfulness to me during the election process. I learned how to trust more and just to appreciate really who he is and how important it is that I pay attention to what he's teaching me and telling me. And I hope to carry that into the prosecutor's office when we begin January 1st.
Yeah, that, well, it's quite amazing. It's going back to the election. What was the point spread that you 15 votes that you won by? 1,500 votes.
It was like 5,000.
5,000.
Yeah, it was like 5,100 to 5,200 votes.
That
It was a lot.
Yeah, and that is huge. So we were dealing with a 3-time incumbent, a GOP on top of it, a Republican in a predominant Republican county, and that it really held the seats in Porter County for a long time. So here you come along and unseat a 3-time incumbent Republican running as a Democrat. So that is that's just amazing in itself.
Yeah, it was a lot of hard work, but really it was less about me than all of the people who helped me. I mean, there were just hundreds of people who did just a little bit along the way. And I always said from the very beginning, it was a word-of-mouth campaign primarily, and just really hundreds of people helped me. And I'm grateful for all of that.
Yeah, and the amazing point that we witnessed and saw in talking to people on, we don't reside in Porter County anymore. I kind of wish we did sometimes, but the amount of Republicans that jumped the fence because they saw a problem in Porter County, and you ran a pretty good, as far as our view, very positive campaign. But yet people saw this and were concerned and saw it as time for a change. And I knew this going into that you can't unseat an incumbent unless people identify a problem on both sides, both Democrat and Republican. That's what happened from Cheston, Portage, Couts. They've identified a huge problem in the county. So I want to congratulate you again.
Thank you. Thank you.
We feel some assurance that you're going to work together with Sheriff Reynolds and take care of the problems. I think that there's a lot of hopes out there on you. I hate to put that pressure on you, but that's,
I feel that. I mean, as I've been thinking about this, the pressure starts to build because I know that there are a lot of people who believe in me, and I really want to live up to that. Yeah. And that's just hard work, and that's what we'll do. We'll work hard.
Yeah, it was kind of interesting going through several communities and seeing the number of Gary Germann signs up. That was kind of interesting to see people identifying with you
it was like I said, it was just amazing. Just hundreds of people, everybody doing just a little bit, and then look what happened.
Yep. So it was 5,000 votes.
Over 5,000.
5,000. That's amazing. That is absolutely amazing. So with that, we would like to again congratulate you and wish you the best, and wish you a wonderful holiday season with your family.
We will. We'll
a
have
beautiful
a great Christmas.
family. In fact, one of the things that picture of you with your children walking in the Popcorn Fest is just awesome.
Oh, wasn't it great?
Oh, it was
I went to bed that
fantastic.
night. I could hardly go to sleep. I was just so thankful.
Yeah.
And that's the vision I had in my mind when I went to sleep, and it's something I'll never forget.
Great family, great looking family, and grandkids and kids, right. Just wonderful. So with that, we would wish everyone a safe rest of the week and a safe weekend. And Gary, again, we appreciate it. We would invite you to come on again sometime. And,
I'll do that.
Maybe after you take office and get the seat warmed up and ready to go, and we can come back and have a conversation, see how things are going.
Sure, absolutely. Thank you, Bill. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. We appreciate this.
Thank you.
Goodbye, everybody, and we'll see you soon.